Good day, I am Julian H. Manalastas from Group 1 and I will be discussing selected excerpts from Political Caricatures of the American Era by Alfred, McCoy, and Alfredo Roces. Specifically, I will talk about the articles Brothers Under the Skin, The Loyalty of the Filipinos, and the latest Law Ultimo. Now, let's talk about the article Brothers Under the Skin. It was published in the Philippine Free Press on June 18, 1938, called on Filipinos to remain united despite social conflicts during a difficult period in Philippine history. It appeared at a time when Central Luzon was experiencing intense peasant unrest caused by worsening economic conditions and long-standing inequalities between landlords and tenant farmers. The global Great Depression, which began in the United States after the stock market crash on October 29, 1929, which severely affected the Philippine economy because of its dependence on American trade. Falling crop prices and declining income placed heavy burdens on the tenant farmers, while many landowners refused to lower rents, improve wages, or grant tenancy reforms. As a result, farmers in Pampanga, Tarlac, and Nueva Ecija organized strikes and protests demanding fair treatment and land reform. But instead of negotiating, some landlords responded with violent repression through hired goons. In this context, the article invoked the spirit of nationalism and the legacy of Jose Rizal, urging Filipinos to treat one another as brothers under the skin and resolve conflicts peacefully and justly. Another important piece is The Loyalty of the Filipinos, published in The Independent on April 14, 1917, reflected a significant shift in Filipino attitudes towards the United States during World War I. Before the war, Filipino political cartoons often portrayed Uncle Sam negatively, depicting him as a threatening and oppressive figure. However, when the United States entered the war, public perception changed dramatically. Filipinos began to view America as an ally and protector, and this transformation was symbolized in a cartoon by artist Fernando Amarsolo, which showed a dignified Uncle Sam guiding a loyal and cheerful Filipino boy named Juan. This change in imagery also reflected political reality. Filipino leaders, particularly Sergio Osmeña, strategically supported the American war effort by temporarily suspending the independence campaign and offering military assistance, including Filipino troops and naval support. Despite economic hardships, Filipinos demonstrated strong loyalty by raising approximately 20 million in war bond sales and contributing significant funds to the Red Cross. This period illustrated how Filipinos used cooperation with the United States as a way to gain political goodwill and strengthen their claim for eventual independence. By 1933, however, the focus had shifted from loyalty to internal political rivalry as shown in the latest Law Ultimo from Philippine Free Press. At this time, Philippine independence from the United States seemed close, but Filipino leaders were deeply divided over the Hair House Cutting Bill, which outlined the terms for independence. Senator Sergio Osmeña and Speaker Manuel Rojas supported the bill and successfully lobbied for its approval in the U.S. Congress. However, Senator Manuel Rojas opposed it partly because he feared that Osmeña and Rojas would return as national heroes and threaten his political leadership. When the leaders returned to the Philippines in 1933, tensions intensified. Quezon consolidated power by removing Rojas from his position, replacing political allies, cutting institutional support for opponents, and influencing media ownership to strengthen his faction. In October 1933, the Philippine legislature ultimately rejected the bill under Quezon's leadership. Although this victory secured this political dominance, it was risky because Filipinos strongly desired independence. To maintain public support, Quezon returned to Washington later that year and negotiated a revised version of the bill, which allowed him to re-establish authority and remain a dominant figure in Philippine politics. Overall, these articles reveal how Filipino society in the early 20th century was shaped by struggles for unity, loyalty, and leadership. They highlight the complex relationship between economic hardship, colonial influence, and political rivalry, showing that the path to independence was not only a fight against foreign rule, but also a challenge of achieving national solidarity.